issue that came up in which to resolve it, you had to build this kind of an alliance, or you had to sort of marshal it through either to defeat it or to support it?
Sure. Well, first of all, as you know, we fall under sunshine, so anything that would happen would always happen that evening. Obviously, you can work in neighborhoods, and that's what I've done. As the president of my neighborhood association, we've learned the value of, over a course of time, working with everyone that has a stakeholder in a situation. That means residents, that means businesses, that means the development community. If you shut anybody out, it's not going to be a project that's considered win-win, and it creates a lot of drama at the end. I'll give you two examples of large projects that came to us at Planning and Zoning where the neighborhood was very influential in shepherding it through to a positive conclusion. Actually, I'll give you three. The Central Beach Alliance was working for, I'd say, about 2.5 years with the Islands Inn project on the northern end of the beach. Also for about 1.5 years worked with the Orion project in the Central Beach part of the beach. Also, those two projects took a long time to get from a site plan that was totally unacceptable to the neighborhood to a site plan that everyone was very pleased with. We actually worked, people did call from the neighborhood to the different planning and zoning board members, and I think that I was able to take the lead at the planning and zoning board meeting, and those projects were actually passed by the board. I should also mention both of those projects, the city commissioner made an appearance at the planning and zoning board, which did raise some eyes because some people felt that it was not appropriate for someone who's going to have to see an issue in a few weeks at the city commission level to come testify and prejudice herself one way or the other on a project. On the other side, there was a project that the neighborhood did not embrace, the Cortez project. Again, it still required that kind of dialogue with the development community. But we were unable to come to an agreement. We ran out of time, and they were not willing to work more with the neighborhood. Therefore, the neighborhood did not support that project, and I think that, again, I was able to work with the neighborhood, and then I think convince the fellow members that night on the Planning and Zoning Board, and that project actually was defeated just up by a 5-4 vote. So I felt that that's another example.
You voted against it?
Yes, and I think was able to sort of structure and lead the debate on the board that evening so that our points were heard and they were well established.
And that Cortez project, then, did it go to the commission or did it just end there?
It went to the commission, and it was defeated at the commission level 3-2.
Okay. Now, I want to ask about the Central Beach Alliance. Can you address either an issue or something that came up and how you led the group to address it?
I was led the group to.
No, how you led the group? I mean, as the president, how you.
I'll give you, how about a current example? The Bahia Mar, probably one of the choicest pieces of land that the city owns, tied into the boat show, an incredible parcel. They were on a fast track to approval. You know that the city just recently hired the consultant to look at the lease, to look at the monetary involvement. We're talking about over a $500 million project on that site that's being proposed. A lot of issues. They're going from the present zoning to a PUD zoning, so that necessitates a lot of study. It's a highly visible area. They were on a fast track. Our present city commissioner was unable to get them to slow down. The neighborhood stepped in. We started a dialogue with the development community that's behind the BMR, and we said, look, here are all the reasons why they should not be on a fast track. No one's going to win at the end, and this is going to be a situation at the end where we're all facing drama. So what we were able to do was convince them that that was the truth. We've now had 2 meetings over the last several months where we've actually gotten them to change the architecture. We've gotten them to, I'm hoping tomorrow, actually tonight is our Central Beach Alliance meeting at the BMR where we'll be still reevaluating. We got them to understand the value of the input of the neighborhood, and they are listening. And this has been something that I'm very proud of over the last 4 years. In particular, it was slow going. The first 2 years that I was president, we were very confrontational with the development community because they never gave us a seat at the table. But now I think people understand, even the city's planning and zoning department now necessitates that the DRC, that developers go to a neighborhood. I feel very strongly that I had something to do with that, because not even on the beach, I'm talking about any neighborhood right now, when any project ever came to planning and zoning and later to the commission, they're always required now to sit with the neighborhood. And one of the first questions that I always asked on planning and zoning was, how does the neighborhood feel about this project? And I didn't care what neighborhood it was, and I think now that that level of respect to the citizenry and the residents of a particular neighborhood has really gone a long way in helping people feel buy-in to the whole process, something that they really don't feel. There's a real disconnect out there, and probably one of the reasons we have such a low voter turnout is because people don't feel that they have a voice, and they just don't feel that they have a seat.